Well, hello lovely people, welcome to today's pick a card reading. We will be doing a video on the topic of what other people like so much about you, what attracts them to you. So as you can see, there are 3 options to choose from, 3 stickers. Pick the 1 or 2, or if you want all 3 of them that you like. And go in the description box, there is a timestamp on where your part of the reading starts. And let's explore the topic of what is so attractive about you to other people. Also, if you want to see some specific type of reading, feel free to let me know. And let's get into it. Hello pile 1, if you chose the kitty sticker over here, then this is your part of the reading. With this kitty, the first impression it's giving me, it feels like a really silly goose. So it's giving me the impression that you guys probably have a really fun and quirky side to you, like the typical silly goose you can imagine roaming around the street. And I feel like this is one of the first things that people probably notice about you and that draws them in. Good, awesome. Let's get into the cards specifically. On this side we have the tarot, on the other side we have some astrological cards. Good, so the first card that came up for you is the reversed 9 of Cups. With the 9 of Cups, I feel like what people really admire and like about you has to do with your ability to enjoy yourself. There is something really, let me show you the card up close. There seems to be something really warm and welcoming in your presence, like with this guy on the card who seems like a great host to his guests, like he just has warm energy, like you want to be in his presence, you want to go to his house, you want to talk to him about his life. He seems like the type of guy where if you are in a fairy tale and you have walked in the rain or in the cold and you are lost for like 2 days and you see a small restaurant next to the road somewhere in the middle of the mountain, and you walk in and you see this guy and he hands you some nice soup and he finds you a room to stay in for the night and he gives you directions for the other day. Like you seem to have something really warm and open and also helpful about your energy. And if we are to talk more stereotypically about the 9 of Cups, it came up in the reversed position. So this is a card that has to do with us enjoying the fruits of our labor. We have worked a lot up to this point and now we are content with what we have achieved and we are basically enjoying it. And in the reversed position, this card can speak about basically like the same energy, but coming from the inside. So you seem to be a content type of person, like you have that inner happiness, which is leading when it comes to feeling happy, because outside possessions can only work so long. You know how people have their studies, for instance, that people who win the lottery, in about 1 year, they are at the same baseline of happiness and fulfillment with their life, the same way that they were before winning the lottery. So outside circumstances, as great as they might be, don't always necessarily do much, I guess, for us in the long run. So it feels like you have, on the one hand, this inner warmth that really attracts people, but it's also, there is a layer of it which has to do with you just being content with yourself. The type of, you can pour into other people once your cup is full energy. And connected to that, actually, this card came up initially in the reversed position and then I turned it around and forgot. You also got the star card. Like I said, it came up in the reversed position initially. And with the star card, there is a similar message that, the star generally represents us having some kind of higher faith, and optimism about things, basically believing in something else. And in the reversed position, this energy again turns to the inside. So it seems there's this inner strength in you and this belief that you are able to achieve things, that you are able to do things, that things will turn out good for you. And this belief helps you even if you are in some kind of rut at a given moment, because we all have our ups and downs. So, but even if you lose your track, so to say, for a small little while, then this energy from inside of you sparks your will up again. With the star, you might also, because the star is, I think, Aquarius energy, there might be something about you which is sort of detached from other people, and that might be really appealing. You know, we are attracted to people who are kind of mysterious. If you're a completely open book, it just doesn't have the same level of appeal. It's like you want to know the secrets. You want to be on the inside of the inner circle, of the exclusive club, of the blah, 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 something hidden society. That type of danger, I would say, is really attractive to people. And you seem to have something of that. And Aquariuses, of course, they might be a bit distant, but they also have a really, I guess maybe a word to describe it would be a humanitarian streak. It's like the nice guru which is watching you from the top of the mountain and might be giving you advice which is not always super helpful at the moment. At least it doesn't feel that way, because you need to hear it and to put it somewhere at the back of your mind, and then a little while later you actually realize what that person told you. So you might have that energy inside of you as well. With the next card being the Ace of Wands, I feel like another thing that people really like about you, admire about you, is that you seem to be really creative. I don't know if you necessarily have a fire energy in your chart somewhere, but you seem to be the kind of person who just has a spark every now and again, some kind of spark of idea or of energy, and you just start chasing something, and that energy is really viral. Oh god, I can't think today. It's like a virus to the people around you. It's contagious, exactly. That was the word I was looking for. This energy of yours, this warmth and thrill you feel for life and for your ideas and for creating, is really contagious to the people around you. So I can imagine if someone in your life is despairing, that you're probably the person for them who they would call in order to get them out of their dump, to kind of make them laugh or give them hope about the future, that type of friend. On the lower side, we have 3 additional cards, starting with the Page of Pentacles, which came up in the reversed position for you. And with the Page of Pentacles, I feel like you have a go-getter energy and people admire that about you a lot. And an aspect of this is also, and I would say this is also kind of a message of the Nine of Cups card, you don't, I don't mean it in a bad way. I hope you don't take it that way either. It's not that people think that you are like a wildly successful person who is like, oh my god, what did they do? They're amazing, like they are a star, they're like Taylor Swift or who knows, or Metallica. It's not that you necessarily have the success that people look up to and that they admire about you, but you have the drive. There is something about you where you are really open to giving your time to chasing ideas. Like we discussed, you have some kind of inner belief in yourself, which is amazing. And this helps you even in times where you might not have necessarily achieved something. And with the page, because it is like young energy and also reversed, there is this sense that maybe you haven't had like great progress in something in your life, in your career, in your relationship, or whatever it may be. Typically with Pentacle energy, it's more like material and like career wise. But you people admire about you some kind of grand ability to learn from your failures, or maybe from your missed chances, or from not doing something optimally. And then you sit with that information and you transform it into something helpful, and you continue growing and developing. So you might have a lot of projects you're working on, you might get distracted by a lot of things, but along the way you also learn a lot about it. And this is something that when other people see it, it's like, oh wow, that person doesn't, you can't take them down, that type of energy. It's similar with the Nine of Cups, because like we said, in the upright position, it typically has to do with you achieving things and enjoying those achievements. In the reversed, those achievements might not be so grand, but you use your resources to the best of your abilities, and you have some kind of wisdom surrounding it. The other thing with the Lovers card, and we will get into that also with the astrology cards a bit that you got. Lovers energy, on the one hand, you might be quite the attractive person, because the Lovers is, I mean, look at them. They kind of can't keep their hands to themselves. So there might be this aspect of you that you are super enticing, like purely physically and in a romantic sense, to the people around you. A lot of people might be interested in getting to know you on that deeper, more intimate and personal level. But also with the Lovers card, there is this deeper level of, let's say, you being some kind of harmonic high ground, let's say. You know how we have people who are like the moral high ground? This seems kind of negative to me in a way, because like when you take the moral high ground, it kind of sounds like you are on your high horse and you're trying to be better than other people. And here, this is not the energy. It's just the energy, again, that people trust that a relationship with you, on the one hand, will find harmony, because you seem to be an understanding person, a person who would listen to somebody and try to understand their point of view or their problems. Like there is something unifying in your energy. You know, some people are disruptive. They are the type of person, like if you put them in your friend group, they're gonna turn everybody against each other. You are the opposite. Like you have a harmonizing aspect to you, which is like honey to the soul for people, because at the end of the day we all want to have good relationships with the people around us, and we want to trust those people. And when you meet somebody with this type of pleasant harmonic energy, it's just something else completely. So like we said, you seem to be some kind of a unifier of people. Like you are an open communicator. You're probably lovely to be around in a social gathering, in a social situation. And you probably have your particular convictions and beliefs, and you are probably very clear about them, but not in an aggressive way, kind of in a balance, again, maybe Libra-y way. And the last card from the tarot that came up for you is the reversed Eight of Swords. And the reversed Eight of Swords looks kind of negative. It's not necessarily one of the most positive cards, but you know, every defect has an effect, basically. So with you, I feel like what people like about you a lot is, on the one hand, it could be that you were at some point, or even now, you might have some kind of self-limiting beliefs, which other people are like, just why would this person even think those things about themselves? They might wonder about it. But at the same time, it seems like you have a good way of dealing with it. You are able to keep a clear mind, even if you have those times of, let's say, mental downfall. You have the ability to be clear about yourself and your positives and your negatives. So although you might have, like all of us, some kind of negative thoughts that you still need to solve and work on, I feel like you can detach from those fairly cleanly. And a part of it is also that, you know, people who are not afraid of admitting to themselves that they have some kind of fault or some kind of negative side, they are also open to hear it from other people. So an aspect of this for you might be that people really like about you, that if they come to you with some kind of criticism, some kind of complaint, you would be open to hearing them out and working with them on some kind of solution, which is super valuable. There is nothing I hate more than friends when you go to them and tell them, look, you did this and this and it hurt me, or like you acted stupid in that situation, and they're like, preposterous. I would never. You must have misunderstood something. You must have seen something wrongfully. Like, it is not I. That type of energy is insane to me. Okay, moving on to the astrology cards. So we got 3, the waxing gibbous, which is about the moon basically, mutable, and then the semi-square. So with the waxing gibbous over here, the idea of this is basically when the moon is growing, and it is from 75 to 99% lit. Okay, and the idea of this phase is, it's actually written, let me just focus it a little bit. So it has to do with the ability of somebody to take matters into their own hands and basically take care of business. Like, as the card says, people born in this phase are purpose-driven and care deeply about other people's well-being. So something we also saw with the cards, it seems like not connected with necessarily the amount of success you might have found in your life up till this point. There is a drive inside of you which is amazing to observe from the side and really inspiring. Why why did the light change? That was weird. Yeah, and you just don't let circumstances knock you off your trail for too long. Like I said, we all have our downtime, but you are not a downer type of person in the general sense. And the other card that came up for you is the mutable card. It has to do with the mutable signs in astrology. And the idea of mutable signs, I guess psychologically speaking, is that they are technically open to different perspectives. Not necessarily even opinion related, but they are basically changeable. They can be changeable in their day-to-day life. They can be changeable in their opinions. Like, they are the type of person to say, let's say, if the cardinal signs are just the starting point, if the fixed signs are the assholes that basically say, this is my way and I'm gonna do it, god damn it if I have to break my head against the wall. The mutable signs are the signs that would start something, based on some kind of plan, then gather the feedback, talk to people, see what they have done, see what they need to do still, and recuperate basically, and change something up. So you probably, like we discussed again with the tarot, you seem to be an open person, which is amazing. It's really valuable. And a caveat to that is also that if you are open to listening to people, you're going to have less conflicts with them, which is always amazing. And we also have the semi-square card as the last card. Now the square and to an extent the semi-square are negative aspects typically in astrology, meaning that they take some time to be worked through. If we have like the positive aspects, which are basically hunky-dory, this energy flows to you, it is amazing. With the square and the semi-square, the idea is that there is some kind of struggle, but because this is a minor aspect, this struggle is not something that's going to be super dramatic for you. But basically the idea of the semi-square is that you might experience some kind of tests, let's say, like your patience might be tested, there might be not backlash, that's not the word. You might experience some kind of challenges, but on the one hand you can persevere through those, you have the ability, you also have the courage. The thing with square and in general the negative aspects in astrology is that they are the aspects that get us to do something. If everything is easy flowing in our lives, we wouldn't necessarily have the motivation to move. You would basically just lay in your bed the whole day and be lazy, because if everything falls into your lap, if your life's perfect, if you have not one single complaint, then you wouldn't have the drive to do anything. And it seems you have this healthy amount of drive that would help you when you have some kind of issues, when you have some kind of challenges, but it's not something that bogs you down completely and like ruins your life. It's like it's not this huge tornado that's whipping the whole house from the ground. It's just a little bit of tingly sensation that keeps you moving forward. Yeah, I hope that this was a helpful explanation of the semi-square, albeit maybe a little bit too long-worded. Good pile one, I feel like this is pretty much everything about your cards. I hope that this was fun to watch, and take care. Hello pile 2. If you chose the doggy sticker, then this is your part of the reading. And right off the bat, two things. On the one hand, with this cute little doggy over here, the impression that the sticker itself is giving me is that you are probably one of the things that people like a lot about you, is that you have this open and easygoing nature, in the sense that you seem to be open to experiences. You know, there are the type of people in the world who are like, hey, do you want to go try out this new restaurant that opened in town? It is, I don't know, some kind of a weird fusion Chinese French cuisine. And some people will be like, hell yeah, let's try it. I have never heard of this before, sounds interesting. And there are the other type of people who are like, no, I don't like that, I don't want to try that. You seem to be the first kind, the kind of people who are open to trying something new and have this joyous connection, kind of like childhood, childlike connection to life. Now, regarding the specific astrology cards and tarot cards that came up for you, they are really interesting because there seems to be a bit of contradiction inside of them. Let's take it one by one. So the first card you got on the tarot side is the reversed Three of Wands, and typically the Three of Wands has to do with some kind of delays happening for us because we lacked some kind of planning or some kind of follow through. So basically the ship sailed before we managed to get on board. That type of energy. The second card, the Sun reversed card, can speak of two things. It can speak on the one hand of being overly optimistic or overly self-critical. And then we also have the Eight of Cups in the reversed, which has to do with us potentially regretting something or having second thoughts about something, going back and forth on whether we should continue chasing something or not. And then if you move on the lower side, we have the Justice reversed, which is, again, on the one hand can speak about our inner critic and us being basically our worst inner critic, but it also can signify from the outside some kind of unjustness or unfairness happening. But then we have two really strong cards, which are the Ace of Wands in the upright position, which has to do with forward fast motion, and the Five of Swords, which is a competition but also winning card. So there seems to be an interesting contradiction that people pick up in you, which intrigues them and makes them admire you as a person. That on the one hand, it could be it could be two things. Let's start with the less mean one, okay? The less mean version of this could be that there might be something inside of you that gives, okay, this doesn't sound awesome either, but like victim energy in a way, but like not in a negative way where you are the perpetual victim of your own stupidity, like not the type of thing, but more like the damsel in distress person, the person who is so amazing and nice and they happen to always be in the wrong place at the wrong time and something happens to them. So there might be an aspect of this where people in your life want to give you to lend you a helping hand, or they want to save you from those circumstances in some way, and there is this then energy that shocks them that you actually have a lot of inner resilience and strength. Or the other more meaner version of this, like I said at the beginning, it could be the interesting thing about you is that on the one hand you have these weird downs, let's say. So maybe a period where you are either overly optimistic and missing some kind of steps, like charging forward, missing something, then having to go back to redo something. You know, if you are into human design, this reminds me of the energy of a manifesting generator, where basically your mode of operation is that you are always doing everything all at once, kind of multitasking, which looks really weird from the outside to people who don't operate in that type of energy, because it seems like you're going in all directions, creating chaos around you without necessarily producing some kind of straightforward result. But it's the type of energy where today I do 5 things and then one thing gets done and succeeds in a week, then another in a month, another in 2 years. So you don't see the linear progress. So you think you don't have any progress. But the progress, it's there. It's just a little bit hidden. It has more layers to it. So you might have that type of scattered energy, which confuses people. It might also be like really cute, like I don't know, it reminds me of the maybe my mind is just primed because of the dog sticker. It reminds me of the energy of a Jack Russell. You know how energetic Jack Russells are? They can run around the whole day. I feel like you probably have some aspect of this trait as well, which is probably really endearing to the people around you. Now, given a part of this can also be, like we discussed, the more negative manifestation, where you might have some kind of down periods where You are wondering whether you, for instance, took the right path, whether you should get back on something, whether you should have acted faster, or whichever exact situation it is. So there might be a swinging between being overly optimistic and overly pessimistic and overly self-judgy. But I feel like the attractive aspect in this as well, on the one hand, what we said about the damsel in distress aspect, but also people see a depth in you of experience and of emotionality, which I feel captures them. And there is also the idea here that you don't seem to be a judgmental person, you seem to be an open person. You show yourself openly, you let yourself be judged by other people, not saying that this doesn't hurt you in some way or make you sad, but it's not something that stops you from moving forward. And this is probably a really big inspiration to the people around you. Also, if we draw a parallel to your astrology cards, you got the water card and the post shadow retrograde, which is an interesting combination with water energy. Like your energy feels a little Piscean like, so kind of dreamy, kind of all over the place, kind of it's not dissolved, I guess the word doesn't matter, just like the water, moving freely, being everywhere, not having a particular shape, and anything can be hiding underneath the water. And I feel like this mystery that your energy has is really appealing to people around you. And again, water is also really nurturing energy. So I feel like there are probably a lot of people in your life who come up towards you in different times of need, because they instinctively know that you would be someone who will not judge them. Like, even if you don't necessarily know how to help or solve their problem, even if you look even more confused than they look, you're just like, I don't even know what kind of animal analogy to give here. I guess maybe the way you would go to your cat or dog at the end of the day for some cuddles and to tell them about how shitty your day was. Not that they will necessarily understand or help you, but there is just something so pure in their energy, it heals your heart in a way. So I wonder whether this is something that you have as well. And the other thing is, with the post-shadow retrograde, you probably know how, let's say, Mercury retrograde can be a really confusing period, or let's say with Venus retrograde, there is this aspect of an ex popping back into your life and wreaking havoc. This is the general energy of retrograde planets. There is something there happening weirdly and confusingly. And the post-shadow retrograde of a planet has to do with, I think, the phase when it stops being retrograde, but it isn't exactly direct. There is some kind of middle phase in there. And this is the period where you start to receive some kind of clarity about the whole confusion that happened. And I feel like you are a really smart person who has amazing powers of analyzing, but not necessarily analyzing from a strictly logical point of view, but more from the intuitive, watery type of thinking. Exactly like the fish, for instance, like Pisces, like Scorpio, like Cancer. You have some kind of inner knowing and intuition. And once you move through that confusing period, which has happened in your life, there is then some kind of spark, which other people probably don't necessarily know where it's coming from, and where you found this answer inside of you or in the outside world, but there happens a shift where you understand something profoundly and then you move forward in a completely different direction. And when that happens, those people see and get to admire then the completely opposite side of you, which might, especially if somebody doesn't know you that well and happens for the first time, this might come as a bit of a shock to them that you have this within you, because again, your initial energy is probably more like dreamy, damsel type of energy, like a little bit more laid back. But once that shift happens, exactly like the post-shadow retrograde, then you completely shift gears and you move into really competitive, go-getter energy of fire and fury. Like I said at the start about the tarot cards, the Eight of Wands, it is an extremely fast-moving card. It is the card of something happening instantaneously, that type of thing. Like you throwing your intention up in the air and it landing on its goal point. And with the Five of Swords, the Five of Swords can, on the one hand, speak about our ability to handle conflict. So this is a card which is not afraid to stand its ground. So I feel like as nice as you seem, as dreamy as you are, once you get down to business, you are absolutely open and able and willing to confront other people. Like you are not the type of person who would let others walk all over them. You know how to stand your ground, but not also, I wouldn't say, in a disruptive and aggressive way. It's not, your energy doesn't feel like someone who will start the fight, but if you have to, you finish it. And this card has the aspect of it where I will win at all costs. Like if you are chasing something, you are in it to win it, and you are not afraid to use every tool at your disposal. Again, I'm not saying this in a mean way type of thing, but maybe this is just how the energy is coming through, because it is such a stark contrast from the other type of energy, which seems to be more easily perceived by others. So once you move out of that dreamy and, let's call it, feminine type of receptive energy and a watery confusion, then it comes to a shock to people how actually committed and decisive and typically masculine, let's say, you can be. And I would say this is also confirmed by the astrological card that came up for you, the conjunction. The conjunction by itself doesn't necessarily mean anything, because you can have a conjunction between any two planets in your chart, but it's just the idea that it is like the strongest aspect. So basically the conjunction can go both positively and negatively. You know, in astrology there are the positive aspects, the trine and the sextile, and the idea with the positive aspects is that energy flows easily, so you don't struggle with it. It's like an inborn talent. And then with the negative aspect, like the square and the opposition, there is some kind of drama, there's something you need to work through, some kind of struggle. With the conjunction, it really depends on the planets, but it is an extremely potent aspect. Like no matter which two planets in your life are conjunct, you are going to feel it exponentially. So I feel like what this means for you is that your energy is basically the same. Once you get into that zone, maybe it doesn't happen often because you might be, for instance, a laid back type of person. But once that hits, then, like we said, it's all fire and fury. Everything is fair game, that type of thing. And I feel like this is really surprising again to people, but also highly attractive to them. It like draws them in because they're captivated by the duality, which is your nature, basically. Yeah, I I feel like I don't have anything more to add to that. Good pile 2. I hope that this was fun to watch, and see you next time, I guess. Well, hello pile 3. If you chose this cute little kitty sticker in a boot, then this is your part of the reading. Now you're reading, your cards are quite a doozy, and I feel like they don't fit with the initial vibe that the sticker gave me in the slightest, but I'm gonna give you both. Maybe they both apply, why not? We are, at the end of the day, interesting people, am I right? So with the sticker, it gave me the energy that you guys are probably just really cute. I feel like you probably have this energy. I don't know if you are short, for instance, because you can see that the cat is fitting inside of a boot. So maybe you are short, which makes you extra cute. But if not, you just seem to be the type of person who has an energy of a shortcake. I don't know how to say it otherwise. Like, when I think of a person, I think of, let's say, Sabrina Carpenter, that type of person who is just so cute you want to eat them in one way or another. But then I pulled your cards, and they are extremely interesting and quite different. So you could have the situation where the thing that attracts people to you in the first second is wildly different from what gets them to stay. Maybe the first impression you give to people is that you are an extremely cute and sweet and good-natured individual, exactly like the kitty. But then once they peel back a layer, or I guess they don't necessarily even have to peel back a layer, it's just at the moment they talk to you for a couple of minutes and they get a better sense of your energy. They get the sense of you being an extremely complex and disruptive, I would say, person, and someone who will definitely not take any bullshit, but also an extremely strong individual. And I feel like an aspect that attracts people to you like flies to honey is that they sense that if they are in your presence, you will change them profoundly somehow. On the one hand, you yourself seem to constantly evolve and change deeply, like experience personal transformations, not just change your hair color type of change. And the people around you get affected by that as well. Like they know that if they stay around, they are not going to be able to continue whichever exactly bullshit they have in their life. They will need to learn something deeper about themselves and then improve. If we get into your cards one by one, you got 2 Queen cards. I was actually wondering whether I should take the Queen of Wands as well, because I took the Queen of Cups and then she flipped and I got her back and then she came up again. So I was just like, okay, you want to come out as well. Good, understood. So with the 2 Queens, I feel like you are a really balanced individual in the sense that you are compassionate to the people around you. You are not afraid to show your emotions, even as a type of showing some kind of vulnerability, being open. It's not like you're hiding behind some kind of brick wall. You are open to give of yourself to others. Of course, it then depends how exactly they act, because they might get cut off if necessary. But at the same time, you are not the type of person, like we said, who would put up with any tomfoolery. With the Queen of Wands, she is a fiery lady and she stands her ground. Like the Queen of Cups can be more gracious, let's say. She will be more flowy. She will be more the typical feminine energy, more receptive. Again, not to say that it's not a strong energy, but it is a strong, more nurturing energy in a way. And with the Queen of Wands, she is not afraid to show her true colors. She is not afraid to express her interests, her opinions. She is someone who you will definitely see. Like, she is not some kind of shrinking violet. And this is the strength that definitely after the first moment where people probably get captivated by your sweetness, then it is this just juxtaposition that really gets them committed to getting to know you better, and which sparks this thrill inside of them. You also seem to be really, let's say, charitable, because the Six of Pentacles is the card of charity. You seem to be a giving individual to others. But again, with the Six of Pentacles, the idea is that I will give to you, but I am not going to get used. This it's not necessarily a card of balance so much as it is that I know the things I can offer, and I want to offer things to people because I am fortunate. Doesn't necessarily have to be that I will share my material fortune with them, but maybe I will share my time, my advice. I am open to doing them and brings me joy. And their improvement then is enough repay for me, that type of thing. But again, this is an equals card, meaning if you don't keep your part of the deal, if you don't keep your part of the bargain, then you will not receive from me freely. So again, there is an aspect to you here that has to do with a sense of discipline, like maybe the way that people feel towards their teacher, let's say. You know, there is some kind of authority there. Like, yes, you are giving, you are nice, you are sweet, you are this and that, but again, I can't be on my bullshit. And with the Two of Swords, technically the Two of Swords card speaks about in our life about some kind of difficult situation, but this is a card which can represent our intuition and us having the answers. So I feel like something people sense in you is that you have a really developed connection with yourself. You are not the type of person who would get swept away easily by the opinions of others or of the world at large. Not meaning that you will not take them into account. You will, but at the end of the day, you close your eyes to the outside chaos and you can find that source of balance within yourself. Like, you trust that inner self and that intuition, and it guides you in a good direction. You don't get lost. Now, the more interesting part of your reading, if you ask me, like we said, there is an aspect of your energy where you seem to be somehow disruptive to the people around you. I have had one or two people in my life tell me that, like, when they met me, they thought that I would destroy their life or something of that sort. You might have a similar or even more dramatic energy than that, where people are drawn to you, but they know that being in a connection with you, either friendship, relationship, whatever it is, it will somehow change them irreversibly. So the first card we got in that direction is the Death card. And then we have the Hermit card. And then we have also the Lovers card. And then if we take a look at the Astrology card, we have two quite disruptive cards. Eris, which is the goddess of chaos, and the post-shadow retrograde. Pile 2 also got the post-shadow retrograde. This is basically a period before the retrograded planet goes direct, and it is the time where you are clearing out confusion. So again, it is the time where you have experienced some kind of chaos, and you are taking your first breath out of the water and looking around you to understand what is happening and what you need to do. So, to go at it one by one. With the Death card, it came up for you in the reversed position, which speaks about deep personal transformation. So people sense about you, and this is what also draws them in, that you are an intelligent person, and not just in the way of being factuologically intelligent, but being life intelligent. Knowing yourself and not being afraid of the darker aspects of life. And this personal transformation that others more or less see based on how you change over time also affects them. Like you bring this same energy out of them, and they can't help but participate in that chaos. Like you become like a magnet or a mirror, which basically transfers this same energy onto the people around you. I can completely imagine that absolutely every other person who doesn't have some kind of depth to them probably falls out of your life sooner rather than later. And with the Hermit card also coming up to you, the Hermit is the guy who is not afraid to sit in the cave alone for a little while he gathers his thoughts and figures out what he needs to do, which direction he needs to take. There might be an aspect here where people are drawn to you because you seem to be some kind of a loner. You know how in movies, for instance, we always have this interest towards the lone wolf character who is so strong and just going through life on his own, and he can achieve everything and he doesn't let anyone in. So there might be that to your energy where it's like a challenge to get truly close to you and to make you open up in a deeper way. You know, like in the, yes, everybody might talk to the loner kid in the Supernatural movie or something, but no one really knows them on that deep of a level. And I feel like this ability of yours to detach for a little while from the outside and sit with your own thoughts is really attractive, because on the one hand, people want to get to know you and to understand what is going on inside of your head when you are doing that. But also they feel this calling to understand that perspective as well, to live through it on their own as well. And then once you move out of that stage of self-discovery, which comes with the Hermit and the Death card, then you move once more into that creative energy. So basically, after your period of withdrawal and that transformation taking place, then you are again more part of the outside world, so to say. And this is also the point where you start to create things, maybe sometimes also completely unexpected things, like pure manifestations of sorts, like the type of thing where you would ask yourself, like, where did this even come from pure air type of thing. Sorry. And not only are you able to do this for yourself, I feel like, but this is also again an energy that you transfer to other people. So on the one hand, you manage to be the creator in your own life, through your beliefs, through not being afraid to look deep, through unifying dualities within yourself, but also unifying with other people, because this is not something I mentioned. I feel like all of this strong energy, it doesn't speak about being disruptive in the way that you are antagonistic to other people. I think that's the word, agonistic or antagonistic, not sure. Either way, it's not that type of change that you bring into other people's life. I think I said that in pile 1. There are people who act disruptively and people who act unifyingly. Oh yes, pile 1 got the Lover's card, exactly. So there are people you bring into your life and they will get you to fight with all of your friends, that type of energy, and you remain alone at the end. And there are other people who are unifying. You bring them to a group and they're like the alpha there. They are gracious, they're gregarious, they talk to everybody, everybody feels good in their presence. Once you move out of that, let's say, shadowy period where you're working on yourself, which is, again, deeply interesting to the people around you, because I feel like an aspect of it is that they don't understand it and they want to partake in it as well. They want to understand you deeper. But then you move into the light again, and on the one hand, you shine your light on them, so you help them do the same for themselves and create for themselves, but you too create for yourself and with those people as well. The Lover's card is the card of unity. It can again speak about also like purely being attractive and sexual and exquisite, like a nice French dessert. But yeah, I feel like generally with your energy, the most attractive to people around you has to do not necessarily with your looks or something particular you give to them, but just the mystery of it all and the disruptive force that lies in it inherently, which might be hidden for a lot of the time, but you can kind of feel it seep through and it changes you little by little. And just briefly on the astrology cards, they basically reflect the same, like with Aries. We have the goddess of chaos, which is basically going to turn your life upside down. This is definitely something you're capable of doing, and which makes people so drawn to your energy, especially probably people who have felt somehow stuck and now are open to moving forward. And with the pole shadow retrograde, we mentioned it, it's basically the same. Like there was some kind of confusion, or similar to the Hermit, there was some kind of period where you had to take a step back, to slow things down a little bit because not everything was clear to you. But then once that clarity comes and the blindfold comes off, then you can move forward intentionally. And with the supermoon is basically when the moon is shining brighter, and it seems like bigger in a way, and it is a great manifestation time because it's like it's not like every full moon. The full moon itself has a lot of potential and force, but this is a special moon. It's like even closer. Everything we planned during this time can take even faster and bigger form. It can manifest easier. So on the one hand, I feel that you have this ability, but again, like with the change aspect, you have the ability to bring this energy to the people around you. And I feel like the people who stay in your life, especially for longer, they probably have this deep sense of gratitude for having you and for having you change them over the years. Good, I feel like this is more than enough. So pile 3, I hope that this was fun and helpful, and all the best to you.